When the federal order came down, it carried a message as clear as it was uncompromising.
When I am president, it will be the policy of the United States to take down the cartels, just as we took down ISIS and the ISIS Caliphate.
For years, Americans had grown accustomed to headlines about cartel violence along distant borders, stories that seemed to belong somewhere else, somewhere far away. But then came the revelation that shattered any illusion of distance. A cartel had not merely crossed into the United States, it had embedded itself within American towns, institutions, and offices. And the trail to this invisible empire led to an unlikely figure, a respected Georgia bank director. What followed was an operation that exposed 28 corrupt officers, billions in laundered funds, and more than 4 tons of narcotics tied to an expanding criminal network. It was a case that began quietly, in the pre-dawn calm of a suburban cul-de-sac, and ended with one of the largest domestic integrity sweeps in modern American history. This is the story of Operation Hawthorne, the unraveling of a cartel network that did not merely infiltrate America, but operated through it. 1. The pre-dawn raids. At 5:04 a.m., just before sunrise washed over northern Georgia, a synchronized strike unfolded with military precision. 2 teams, one FBI, one ICE, moved simultaneously on separate targets, each connected to a man who had built his reputation on the language of trust. Daniel Hawthorne, the 44-year-old director of Georgia Prime Bank. His $1.8 million home sat peacefully in a manicured neighborhood, but on that morning, its tranquility shattered under battering rams and tactical boots. Inside, agents uncovered a scene far removed from the world of financial respectability. 14 firearms, several of them illegally modified. Over 7 pounds of heroin and meth hidden meticulously beneath the floorboards. And within a safe, an encrypted drive, the digital thread that tied Hawthorne directly to LaFuria Roa, one of the most violent and rapidly expanding criminal organizations operating inside the United States. At the exact same moment, another team breached the 11th floor of Georgia Prime Bank. The cameras had been cut, lights dimmed. Inside the vault room, Hawthorne stood beside 3 uniformed officers, men sworn to enforce the law, surrounded by duffel bags stuffed with $62 million in cash, sorted in precise, color-coded stacks. A public servant turned cartel financier. The arrests marked the beginning of a deeper unraveling, one that revealed how far the cartel's reach had spread and how deeply it had embedded itself into American institutions. 2. The cartel connection. As agents pieced together the evidence, one name surfaced repeatedly: Claudia Varela, Hawthorne's 28-year-old wife. To outsiders, she appeared quiet, reserved, almost unremarkable, but she carried a lineage that traced back to violence, rebellion, and a cartel forged under extraordinary brutality. Her father had been among the founders of LaFuria Roa, a gang originally born from prison escapees and hardened ex-fighters from Venezuela, Colombia, and Mexico. Men shaped by torture cells, border skirmishes, and riot-scarred penitentiaries. Over 8 years, that gang evolved from a desperate band of fugitives into a paramilitary cartel with more than 2,000 members. They left their mark across 17 U.S. states, tied to 8,600 violent and drug-related incidents, moving with the discipline of a militia. Daniel Hawthorne did not enter this world by coincidence. He was ushered into it by his wife. At first, his role was limited: discreet laundering through the bank he directed, manipulating accounts, smoothing out irregularities, making the impossible appear routine. But as millions began flowing through his hands, caution gave way to ambition. Within 2 years, he had evolved from a banker covering tracks to an operational architect, authorizing covert wire transfers disguised as corporate investments, arranging clandestine cash pickups, and granting access to safe deposit boxes long after business hours. Then investigators uncovered something far darker. Encrypted communications revealed that Hawthorne had become a broker of influence, negotiating bribes with local police, county officials, and even state employees. Patterns emerged. 23 county officials, 5 senior law enforcement officers, nearly $10 million in illicit payments disguised as consulting contracts or infrastructure funds. The image of a banker under pressure dissolved. What remained was a portrait of a marriage united by ambition and steeped in cartel power. 3. The interdiction order. By late November, federal analysts delivered a chilling conclusion. LaFuria Roa was no longer merely importing narcotics. It had become a national network woven into the very infrastructure Americans use every day. And so, at 4:27 a.m. on November 20th, 2025, the order was issued. Initiate full interdiction. All units, execute. Across 7 states, engines roared to life. More than 2,500 federal agents from the FBI, DEA, ICE, HIS, ATF, and U.S. Marshals mobilized in one of the largest coordinated anti-cartel operations since the early 2000s. 4. The operation unfolds. 1. The Northern Georgia Safe House Corridor. The first confrontations erupted in rural Georgia, where a ring of safe houses served as the cartel's primary inland hub. Fog clung to the ground as tactical units pushed through open fields under night vision glow. When the front door of the safe house detonated inward, gunfire erupted from a narrow back hallway. 3 cartel gunmen, armed with military-grade rifles, unleashed erratic bursts, ricocheting off a federal shield as agents pushed forward. In less than 2 minutes, the structure was secured. Agents seized 48 kilograms of heroin, packaged, labeled, and ready for distribution. Next, the strike hit the industrial outskirts of Houston, where the cartel oversaw a chemical processing lab camouflaged as a warehouse. As veteran SUVs rammed the gates, workers scrambled to shut down power, plunging half the building into darkness. But drones hovering above switched seamlessly into thermal mode. Within minutes, 31 suspects were tracked, pinned, and detained. Barrels of precursor chemicals, enough to generate hundreds of pounds of methamphetamine, lined the walls like dormant explosives. 3. The escape attempt. The most violent encounter erupted along the West Coast, where the cartel maintained its largest distribution hub. When federal teams moved on the docks, a convoy of pickup trucks loaded with hidden compartments surged into motion. A high-speed chase tore through the port district, sirens echoing between steel storage stacks. Spike strips disabled the lead truck, while another rammed a federal vehicle, triggering a flanking maneuver that ended with the convoy forced to a halt. It took 14 minutes to neutralize the threat. 1. The scale of the takedown. By midday, the staggering scale of the operation emerged. 5,180 arrests, multiple tons of heroin, methamphetamine, and cocaine seized, $980 million in cash confiscated, $1.689 billion in cryptocurrency frozen, hundreds of weapons recovered, dozens of trafficking routes severed. This was not a raid. It was a strategic dismantling, a methodical crippling of a network that had embedded itself deep within American communities. But what agents uncovered next was more disturbing than the caches of drugs or piles of illicit cash. The cartel's most powerful assets were not gunmen. They were public servants. When agents cracked Hawthorne's encrypted drives, they uncovered 2.7 terabytes of internal communications, financial ledgers, shipping logs, and time-stamped approvals tied to specific officials. At first, the documents appeared harmless: emails, requests, administrative forms. But when matched against evidence seized during the raids, their meaning shifted. A county sergeant who once lectured teenagers about staying away from drugs had quietly approved nighttime transit windows for cartel shipments. A Texas procurement officer had signed off on 18 emergency import waivers, each aligning with container loads of fentanyl precursors. A Florida medical examiner, known for advocating community health programs, had received transfers labeled as clinical review fees, but the trail led directly to Claudia Varela's offshore accounts. The list expanded rapidly. A national delivery driver redirecting packages to safe houses, a suburban physician issuing fraudulent medical exemptions, a New Jersey teacher quietly identifying vulnerable students for cartel recruiters. The breadth of infiltration stunned senior analysts. Over 440 individuals across government, healthcare, education, and transportation had direct or indirect ties to LaFuria Roa's operations. But the most chilling discovery was a document titled Tier Support. It categorized compromised personnel into 4 levels. 1. Street-level facilitators. 2. Municipal employees. 3. Law enforcement. 4. Financial and political assets. At the top of Tier 4 sat Daniel Hawthorne and 3 high-ranking officials whose names remain sealed under federal protection. One FBI supervisor summarized the findings in a single sentence. This was no cartel exploiting America. This was America's own infrastructure being repurposed as a cartel. 3. A network hiding in plain sight. The full operational map, once assembled, stretched across an entire wall of the Federal Situation Room. Pins, strings, financial pathways, timelines, and digital transactions forming the outline of a network woven directly through American communities. LaFuria Roa had not built its empire in the margins. It had built it within trusted institutions. Hospitals, schools, local businesses, county offices, churches, financial firms, shipping companies. In Georgia, cartel couriers used delivery vans identical to those carrying medication to senior homes. In Florida, fraudulent clinics processed medical documents for cartel operatives. Across the Carolinas, trucking companies disguised narcotics as produce shipments. In Texas, cartel accountants converted drug profits into investments that appeared legitimate on paper. The cartel's most dangerous evolution was its embrace of cryptocurrency. $1.689 billion moving through digital pipelines that crossed state lines instantaneously. LaFuria Roa had surpassed the boundaries of a traditional cartel. It had become a parallel system, exploiting American routines to hide in plain sight. At the center of it all stood the quiet figure of a banker. 4. The internal collapse. As federal raids concluded, agencies turned their focus inward to the police departments, county offices, and state agencies where corruption had taken root. It became the largest domestic integrity sweep in 4 decades. 380 law enforcement personnel flagged for review, 187 officers suspended, 120 public officials indicted, 3 small-town police departments temporarily shut down. A sheriff's lieutenant who erased dozens of arrest warrants, a state trooper providing GPS locations of sobriety checkpoints, a veteran police captain selling nighttime transit clearances for cash. Even seasoned investigators were stunned by the confessions, some driven by fear of cartel retaliation, others seduced by money, and a few still insisting they were innocent despite undeniable evidence. Across the nation, the footage shocked the public. Badges collected into evidence bags, precincts with half their force suspended, courtrooms nearly frozen due to lack of uncorrupted staff. And yet, amid the chaos, officials made one message clear. This operation was not only about arresting criminals, it was about rebuilding trust. 5. The true cost. When the final documents were signed and the last raid site was cleared, the real damage of Hawthorne's corruption came into focus. It wasn't the drugs, it wasn't the cash, it wasn't even the arrests. It was the erosion of social trust. People had placed their financial security in a bank director secretly funding a cartel. Parents sent children to schools where one teacher quietly identified recruits. Families walked into clinics and churches unknowingly served by cartel intermediaries. LaFuria Roa had achieved something more dangerous than violent expansion. It had operated in plain sight, shielded by the communities it deceived. Across the country, institutions struggled to rebuild. Police departments short-staffed, courtrooms backed up for weeks, families left to ask the most painful question a nation can confront: who can we trust now? For older Americans, people who had lived through the turbulence of the Cold War, the crack epidemic, and political upheaval, this was a betrayal unlike any other. The threat wasn't foreign, it wasn't distant, it was woven into the everyday parts of life they believed were safe. Operation Hawthorne ended with one sobering truth. A nation does not collapse because of the criminals who attack it. It collapses when good people stop paying attention. LaFuria Roa thrived in silence, in shadows, and in the comfortable assumption that corruption was always somewhere else. But the operation proved something else as well. America can and will fight back, even when the enemy is hidden in plain sight.